Hello and welcome to the Awesome 180 channel. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today I thought we would do a masterclass on habit stacking. Now, if you're someone who has read any single book on habits, you will know this word called habit stacking, which is basically putting one habit and then putting another habit on top of that and then putting another habit on top of that and then putting another habit on top of that. Now, everybody likes using these fancy words, but what it very simply is it's nothing but your daily routines, right? Our routines are nothing but all the habits that we do put together. So for example, our morning routine is our getting out of bed routine, our going to the toilet routine, our looking at our phone routine, our brushing our teeth routine. All these things come together and pile together to form this routine. Now, these routines, when they get emotions attached to them, they become rituals. Rituals are, for example, if you did not get your morning tea, you feel that something is missing, that today's day is not going to go well. That becomes a ritual because your routine now has an emotion attached to it. And our lives are filled with nothing but habits that turn into routines and rituals, and that's all because these are the things that we do every day after day after day after day. Now, how do we actually break in to this habit stacking and break in our new habits into these routines? And that's what this masterclass is about. So avoid using big words like habit stacking and things like that, because what we're ultimately doing is we're saying that once I finish doing this habit, can the next habit that I want to do afterwards immediately flow into it or not? So for example, if I had to go to the gym in the morning, right? I can't say go to the gym immediately after brushing teeth, because there are steps in between, right? There is putting on pants, wearing clothes, getting ready, going down in the lift and then going there. So you have to figure out which habits follow and flow well into the habit that you want to create. So whenever you want to create a new habit, the best way of doing this is to slip it in to a routine that currently exists. So most of us have these typical routines, right? We have a morning routine, which is our waking up routine. We have a leaving for work, getting ready for work routine. We have a lunch routine. We have an afternoon routine. We have an evening routine typically, and we have a night routine. You can add your habits into any of these big, broad routines that are familiar to all of us. Some of us have very specific exercise routines. Some of us have very specific cooking routines or cleaning routines. You can add habits there as well. Like I was just talking to a friend of mine and she was saying that while she does her cleaning and swabbing of the house, she does her coconut oil pulling at the same time. So that is a fantastic way of thinking about this habit stacking. One is happening, then the next is happening at the same time. So this way you can actually put on more habits into your routine. Now, what we need to do is we have to figure out where is the opportune moment to slip something in. I like using my morning coffee or tea routine as a way of slipping in habits. So for example, my morning tea, I will heat up the water. So while the water is heating up, I can do something else. I can add a habit there. Once I make my coffee and I sit down, it takes a while for the coffee to cool down. So I can add a habit there as well. Once I finish whatever I was doing, I can sip the coffee, finish the coffee, and then I'm ready to get into another habit. So you notice if you start looking at your life like this with the actions that you're creating, you will always find opportunities to sneak in all the habits that I talk about on this channel or on the Habit Coach podcast. Because what we're doing ultimately is figuring out what is the way in which we can add new habits with the least amount of friction. So what I want you to do is I want you to plan a habit that you want to create. For example, you want to create a morning journaling practice, right? Free flow journaling, that is a fantastic thing. Now what I want you to do is I want you to actually write down what does that habit entail. So it'll entail a book, it'll entail a pen, it'll entail sitting down in a place. Fantastic. What can you do along with it or just before or just after doing this? So like I said, you might want to do the journaling practice immediately after you drink your coffee. So you can write after I drink my coffee because you might be sitting on a table at that point of time. I will take out my book and I will do my free flow journaling for 10 minutes. Okay. What will you do immediately after that? Think about what you used to do immediately after you finished your coffee. You would either get up and change your clothes. Maybe you would get into your gym clothes. Maybe you would go and check your phone. So then you can add that back into it. So immediately after I finish my journaling, I will go back and change my clothes into my gym clothes. So now what you've done is you've seamlessly opened up your routine, slipped in a new habit, and closed the routine again. This is the secret to creating those changes that we want. Because if we don't do this, if we just say, yeah, I'm going to write a journal in the morning and not put it in any particular place, we don't know when we should be doing this. And as a result, it often gets slipped out. So if you don't want to miss out on your habits, this is a great way of creating them and making a part of your routine. Remember, you can have habits running parallelly. Like I said, the tea is cooling down and I'm doing my gratitude journaling. Or you can have them one after another. Like I finished my coffee, I did the journaling, and then I went and changed my clothes. Both of these are fine. But you have to visualize how this habit is going to work. Very often, if you don't do the visualizing, you'll end up making poor choices. You might end up making mistakes. For example, you might write, I will do my journaling, but then suddenly figure out that every night you leave the journal in your parents' room or somebody else's room where you can't necessarily go and access it at that particular time in the morning. For example, when we moved to this house here at the farm, we could not enter the kitchen till about 6:37. So our entire coffee routine in the morning went for a toss. So then we had to figure out how do you get a kettle outside and keep our cups and saucers outside, because the house help was sitting inside or was sleeping in the kitchen. So this way you can figure out that you have to visualize and plan how you're going to tweak your routines. Now, as your habit coach, I want to give you a pro tip. In a particular routine, don't try and make 3 changes or 2 changes. A maximum of 1 habit change per routine is all that I want. So you can make 1 habit change in the morning routine, you can make 1 habit change in the evening routine, 1 habit change in your lunch routine, for example. Perfectly fine. But don't try and add gratitude journal plus journaling plus morning exercise all into your morning routine, because then you made so many changes that the integrity of the routine doesn't exist anymore, and it's going to collapse with all the new tweaks and changes that you made to it. So avoid doing that. Instead, focus on figuring out and creating these 1 habits or inserting 1 habit into a routine. So this was a masterclass in understanding what are habit stacking, what are routines, because this is ultimately how we can practically start making changes in our life. You know, I've got about 440 episodes on the Habit Coach podcast. Now, you can't go and create 440 habits in your life overnight. Pick and choose 1 or 2 that you can start adding to your day. Once they become a habit properly, where you don't need willpower, where you don't need anything to maintain them anymore, this is when you can move to something new that you can add to your routines. Remember, if you like videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell icon on the side so you know when future videos come out. Also, don't forget to hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm knows that people are liking this video and continues to suggest it to people. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and remember, awesome lives, they start with awesome habits.